Most cruise passengers think the cabin steward is just there to make the bed and swap out towels. That's a massive mistake. The truth is, if you know what to ask for, your cabin steward can completely upgrade your entire cruise experience. Because here's the reality. Cruise lines tell you what's included, but they don't tell you what's possible. While the average passenger lives out of a suitcase in a cramped room, experienced cruisers are quietly getting better sleep setups, smarter room layouts, and insider tips that most people never even think to ask for. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what to ask your cabin steward and how to work with them to upgrade your room, fix problems fast, and unlock perks most passengers miss completely. Let's start with the most important moment of the entire cruise, the first few hours on board. What to ask on day one. Your first interaction with your cabin steward sets the tone for your entire cruise. Smart cruisers don't just say hello and unpack, they treat this as a brief strategy session. There are 3 specific questions that must be asked on day one to unlock the room's full potential. First, ask this exact question. What exactly does this specific cabin grade include? Cruise lines constantly change hidden perks without advertising them. Even the same cabin type can come with different perks depending on the sailing or promotion. Asking this question instantly uncovers unadvertised complimentary beach bags, hidden daily canapé menus, premium bottled water, or even free laundry allowances that would otherwise go completely unused. Second, use the reverse request method. Ask the steward, what are the most common things passengers are asking you to bring these days? This is a massive shortcut. Instead of guessing what is hidden away in the cruise storage closets, this question gets the steward to reveal the off-menu items they can bring to your room. It also tells you exactly what's easy for them to provide, so you're not asking for things that slow them down or get ignored. Third, establish total control over the service schedule. Never accept random cleaning times that interrupt a nap or shower. If early breakfast in the main dining room is the routine, ask the steward to service the room exactly during that window. The same applies to dinner. Sync the cleaning schedule with dining times so the cabin is perfectly refreshed without ever crossing paths with the crew. And that's just the beginning, because what they can bring to your cabin is where things really get interesting. Comfort upgrades. Now it's time to upgrade the room itself. Most passengers simply accept the standard bed setup they walk into, but with a few specific requests, that basic cabin can feel like a much more premium, hotel-level space. First, look at the bed configuration. Cruise cabins are notoriously tight on space, but many layouts can be adjusted. If the standard twin bed or center room setup feels cramped, ask the steward if they can push the bed flush against the wall and relocate the side tables. This instantly opens up valuable floor space you didn't even realize you had. Next is the mattress surgery. When cruise lines push 2 twin beds together to make a double, it leaves an incredibly uncomfortable seam right down the middle. Most people just put up with it, but there's an easy fix. Ask the steward for a premium mattress topper and the bed bridge. This smooths everything out and completely gets rid of that gap, making the bed feel more like a proper double. If the mattress is too soft, they can sometimes add extra support underneath to firm it up. And if you're traveling with a partner and end up fighting over the covers, do not suffer for a week. Ask your steward if they can set up the bed with 2 separate duvets instead of one shared one. It's a common setup in Europe, and on many ships, they can accommodate this so you both actually sleep. Then address the pillows. Cruise cabins usually come with standard pillows, but many ships have alternative options available if you ask. Even if they're not included for your cabin, a quick request on the first afternoon can often get you something much more comfortable. And if you like white noise or just need more airflow to sleep, ask your steward if fans are available. Some ships carry a limited number, and requesting one early gives you the best chance of getting one. Finally, ask for extra heavy blankets early, rather than waiting for a cold night at sea, and establish a linen change schedule. Requesting less frequent sheet changes not only helps the environment but ensures the steward isn't rearranging this perfect custom bed setup every single morning. Get this right, and your cabin feels completely different. But the bed is only half the story. What comes next is where the real upgrades begin. Hidden cabin items. Most people never ask for these, and they're some of the easiest upgrades on the entire ship. Once the bed is perfectly configured, it's time to hack the closets and the bathroom. When you walk into a standard cabin, you're usually greeted by a basic mix of hangers, and if you need more, the extras are almost always the flimsy ones. Don't live out of your suitcase. Ask your steward for a full set of hangers right away, preferably wooden if they have them. While you are at it, ask for 2 thick premium bathrobes. Even if your specific cabin tier does not officially include robes, many ships have extras available beyond what's listed for your cabin. If you ask politely on day 1, you'll often find they can provide them. Next, we need to completely overhaul the bathroom. One of the easiest ways to do that is to ask for a few comfort upgrades early on. Things like extra towels, a second bath mat, and additional hand towels can make a big difference in keeping the space dry and easy to manage. You can also check if they have face cloths or small toiletry extras that aren't always stocked by default. And if you need something more specific, many ships can provide a magnifying mirror for shaving or makeup, or a sharps container for medications if your cabin doesn't already have one. These small requests can make the bathroom far more functional for the rest of the voyage. Then there is the biggest trap in the cabin, the minibar. Those tiny bottles of water and sodas are heavily overpriced, and if your cabin has a stocked minibar, be careful because on some ships, even removing items can trigger charges on your account. On the very first afternoon, ask your cabin steward to completely empty the minibar. This instantly transforms it into your own personal free refrigerator. Now you have dedicated chilled space to store your own protein shakes, medications, or the local beverages you pick up while exploring the ports. And if your cabin comes with a welcome bottle of champagne or drinks you won't use, don't just leave them there. It's worth asking your steward if there are any swap options available. On some ships, or in certain cabin categories, they may be able to exchange them for something you'll actually use, like wine, soda, or sparkling water. Finally, establish your daily standard of living. Ask for real glassware instead of the cheap plastic cups wrapped in cellophane. Request a proper metal corkscrew to keep in the desk, and place a standing order for your ice bucket to be refilled every single afternoon while you are out. These small physical upgrades completely change how the room feels, but having a steward bring you items is nothing compared to what they can actually fix for you when things go wrong. Problem solvers. Upgrading the room is fantastic, but the true value of a cabin steward is their ability to act as a go-to problem solver when things inevitably go wrong. The average passenger wastes hours standing in line at guest services. Experienced cruisers often just talk to their steward first. This is the part that can save your entire cruise if something goes wrong. Take broken luggage, for example. If a suitcase handle snaps in transit, do not buy an overpriced replacement in the ship's boutique. A quick conversation with the cabin steward connects you directly to the ship's internal network of handymen. For a small tip, they may be able to connect you with someone on board who can repair it while you are at dinner. The same goes for forgotten electronics. Arriving without the right international wall adapter or losing a phone charger is a nightmare. Before panicking, ask the steward. They may have access to spare adapters or charging cables left behind by previous passengers. They can often help you find something that works for the duration of the voyage. They are also the key contact for more complex or specialized needs. If you require specific equipment, accessibility support, or a custom setup in your cabin, your steward can help coordinate a safe, cruise-approved solution that actually works in your space. Ultimately, they are the fastest bridge to the rest of the ship's staff. If a specific item is needed or a complex problem arises, the steward cuts through the red tape and brings the solution directly to the door. Having a dedicated fixer on board builds immense peace of mind. But the most valuable thing a steward can give you isn't a physical item or a repair. It's their knowledge. Insider info. This is the part most passengers completely miss. Your steward is effectively an underground intelligence network for the entire cruise. Let's start with saving money on the ship, specifically with laundry. Never send your clothes out for individual dry cleaning on days 1 or 2. The prices are significantly more expensive. Instead, ask your steward exactly when the mid-cruise laundry promotion drops. Most cruise lines run a mid-cruise, fill the bag for a flat rate special, usually around day 3 or 4, and your steward usually knows when it's likely to run. Asking them in advance prevents you from wasting $50 on something you could have gotten done for a fraction of the price 48 hours later. But the most valuable intelligence they possess is about the ports of call. Do not rely on the sanitized, heavily marketed port lectures given by the cruise director. The crew members have first-hand experience from visiting these ports repeatedly. If you are concerned about safety, ask your steward directly which streets or neighborhoods you should absolutely avoid walking alone in. They can often give you a more practical, real-world perspective that the cruise line is too cautious to include in a brochure. They also know the exact reliable taxi networks the crew uses to avoid tourist scams. Furthermore, if you need a reliable 5G connection to upload files, or you just want to get away from the ship's awful Wi-Fi, the steward often knows which places near the port have the fastest free internet. They know where the closest legitimate pharmacies are, and they know the authentic, inexpensive local restaurants to visit, far away from the overpriced tourist traps located right at the end of the pier. Tapping into this crew-level knowledge completely changes how you experience a destination. But on board, most passengers still let the cruise line dictate their daily routine. Smart cruisers take control of it on day 1. Timing and service control. This is one of the biggest daily annoyances on a cruise, and almost nobody knows how to fix it. By 2026, many major cruise lines have quietly shifted toward once-a-day cabin service to cut costs. But here is the secret. You still have a lot of control over exactly when that happens. Average passengers use the Do Not Disturb magnet reactively, constantly playing a guessing game with the crew. Don't leave your room cleaning to chance, hoping the steward doesn't knock while you're napping or getting ready for dinner. Instead, actively sync their service with your daily schedule. If your routine involves hitting the gym early and grabbing breakfast in the main dining room, tell your steward exactly what time you leave. Ask them to service the cabin during that specific 1-hour window. The same applies if you are on a luxury line that still offers twice-a-day service. If you prefer to eat an early dinner, to do some post-dinner work, or catch the evening shows, coordinate your evening turn-down service for that exact time frame. The ultimate goal is seamless, invisible service. By communicating your schedule up front, your cabin is magically refreshed while you are out, and you will never experience that awkward moment of standing in the hallway waiting for a vacuuming to finish. This single conversation can significantly reduce interruptions during your day. Once your daily routine is locked in, you can move on to the advanced requests, the things most passengers don't even realize are possible to ask for. Special requests. This is where knowing exactly what to ask really starts to pay off. Let's talk about special electronic and medical needs first. If you travel with a CPAP machine, do not risk bringing a standard extension cord from home. Cruise lines have incredibly strict fire regulations, and it may be confiscated at boarding depending on the cruise line. Instead, contact your steward immediately. They can often help arrange a cruise-approved, compliant extension cord and set it up safely by your bedside so your machine works perfectly. And instead of packing heavy distilled water, ask your steward on day 1. even if you didn't request it in advance, they can often help arrange it for your cabin, sometimes for free or a small fee. For your morning routine, it's worth asking what's possible in your cabin. While most ships don't offer full coffee setups, you can often ask for extra tea and coffee supplies, and on certain ships, they may even be able to provide a kettle, depending on availability. Finally, you can completely customize the traditional cruise touches. If you are traveling with kids and the cruise line has phased out daily towel animals to save time, a direct, polite request to the steward can often bring them back for your room. Conversely, if you are a solo traveler or a couple and you prefer they don't waste time making them, just tell them to skip it. You can shape the experience to better match what you want. What not to expect. Now, to separate experienced cruisers from everyone else, we need to talk about what not to expect. Your cabin steward has incredible access, but they are not magicians, and they can't break safety rules or company policies for you. If you ask them to ignore strict safety rules, like using a banned heating appliance you snuck on board, they will say no because their job is on the line. Second, everything I just shared is highly dependent on the cruise line and the specific ship's inventory. What a steward can provide on an ultra-luxury line will naturally differ from a budget megaship. They may have access to additional items beyond standard cabins, but they cannot invent items that simply aren't loaded on the vessel. Finally, the ultimate upgrade hack is simple respect. The passengers who approach these requests as if they are guaranteed usually get the bare minimum. The smart cruisers who treat their steward like a professional partner on day one with a smile and realistic expectations often receive better, more attentive service. Now I want to hear from you. What is the one thing a cabin steward did that completely surprised you or made your cruise way better? Drop it in the comments because this is how people find the real insider tips. And if you want more strategies like this, don't stop here. There's another guide on screen right now that most cruisers never see, and it will change how you book your next trip.